Next, we're going to have Neil Kanagi, who's actually a program manager at Knowledge at Atlassian. He's going to share how we're doing KCS at Atlassian and how you can use our stack to do KCS. So if you want to welcome Neil onto the stage. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah. Great. How many were in John's session just before? Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about what KCS in the center of the presentation, but I'm making some assumptions that you heard some of that. Welcome to the session on knowledge-centered support at Atlassian. I plan to share with you how Atlassian operates our support organization in a KCS framework. Our customer base is growing around 40% annually right now. It's a giant challenge for us to grow the support organization and maintain that pace. So while we're hiring and training individuals rapidly, we're counting on gains in operational efficiency, including the leverage of support knowledge to allow us to manage the growth of the support teams at a lower rate. For those of you working in help desk or support centers, I'm sure you've been pressured to grow at a slower rate than the rate of your customer base. And quite often, as in my previous life as a support manager, we were asked to reduce headcounts even though the support loads were continuing to increase. So scaling support's a big issue. We can't afford to grow the support organizations or their IT help staff at the rate that the products and customers are growing. So we have to look for opportunities to be more efficient by improving the productivity and capability of our support teams, by improving the usability and the reliability of our products, and by creating alternative support channels where we can resolve customer issues without requiring direct involvement of the support agents. So knowledge-centered support is a go-to tool to accomplish that within support centers and help desks. I've been supporting customers for about 30 plus years on software, all types of roles, pre-sales, post-sales, training, and as support manager and director. My focus for the last 10 years has been on support infrastructure, working on the systems that track issues, and on delivering online support and support knowledge. I joined Atlassian about the same time they opened their office in Austin, Texas, back in April, and I'm the program manager for knowledge in the Customers for Life team. And Customers for Life is the organization that deals directly with customers, either support engineers or loyalty and customer advocates. My day-to-day focus is to ensure that we generate and deliver support knowledge that accelerates our customers' productivity and helps our support engineers efficiently solve problems. If you weren't in the previous session with John, brief introduction. KCS has 4 basic concepts: integrate the capture and maintenance of knowledge into the problem-solving process, develop a knowledge base of our collective experience, evolve the content based on demand and usage, and then recognize the learning, collaboration, sharing, and improving of knowledge. KCS needs to be an integral part of the day-to-day operation in the support center, and it should become the way people solve problems, and knowledge should be a byproduct of that problem solving. One of the things that we've learned in KCS is that the support agent is the best person to capture and maintain support knowledge. And it takes teamwork to a new level. The organization must adopt the perspective that knowledge is an asset owned and maintained by the team, not by an individual or a small group of dedicated content writers. Described on our corporate website and posted throughout the buildings, and you've probably seen it here at Summit. Atlassian shares how we build the company on 5 core values. So my job as the knowledge manager here is made much easier because these core values line up with some of the core tenets of knowledge-centered support. Open company, no bullshit. Atlassian embraces transparency wherever practical. and sometimes where it's impractical. This value makes questions about when and what to publish much easier for our agents. So it allows us to focus completely on the value of the information to the customer without second guessing whether we should publish or keep the information to ourselves. Build with heart and balance. At Atlassian, we try to build products that are useful and that people will lust after. Building with heart means really caring about what we're making and doing. Our goal is to build a knowledge base that customers are excited about. We celebrate participation in the answers forums, and we take into consideration how our decisions will affect our colleagues, our customers, and our stakeholders. Don't fuck the customer. When we make internal decisions, we ask ourselves, how will this affect our customers? If the answer is it would screw them or it would make their life more difficult, then we find a better way. Quickly publishing, getting information out, quickly publishing that break-fix information is part of that better way. We want to provide the knowledge needed for customers to succeed and win with our products. Play as a team. We think it's important to work as teams and to have fun while doing so. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to have fun with us here at Summit this week. So when I look at this value, we want to ensure that the focus is on team in addition to fun. And one key to teamwork is sharing the knowledge that takes place when problems are resolved, or sharing the learning that takes place when problems are resolved. Knowledge-centered support isn't just about providing self-help to customers. We also want to quickly share knowledge internally. So we have support centers on 5 continents, and it's very important that we spread the learning and the knowledge so that every region can provide excellent support to the customer issues that come into them. Be the change you seek. At Atlassian, we encourage everyone to create positive change. We're constantly looking for ways to improve our company, our products, and our environment. Our KCS processes feed off this value by encouraging the publishing or improvement of support knowledge in the moment. Being the change you seek means taking the initiative to get the knowledge out there. KCS has a concept that reuse is review. And what that means is that when you reuse, you're not just forwarding a link or sharing the information, you're also reviewing and taking the time to improve the content. We empower, encourage, reinforce the requirement that everyone is an editor of knowledge and that they should fix or improve an article in the moment that they discover any problem. When I joined the Customers for Life program, our team as knowledge program manager, they already had in place many of the elements and practices of a mature KCS organization. They had built these practices through several strategic projects, and the primary one was labeled Knowledge as a Product. Product not in the sense of something that we're going to sell. Our knowledge bases are open and available to everyone, but product in the sense of being a complete implementation with the qualities that attract and satisfy customers. And this is a strategy that we continue with today. We capture knowledge in the context of the customer. Most of our support knowledge is generated directly from support activities. This means we can publish quickly with the context and perspective of customer fresh in our minds. Authoring and sharing are cultural habits in Atlassian. Everyone writes a blog post as part of the launch program during their first week of employment. And this spurs the expectation that they'll blog throughout their career and life at Atlassian. There's focus and support on publishing quickly because all of our support engineers are users of Confluence, and we use the Confluence knowledge-based templates. They're able to quickly go from the learning event, from what they learn in the transaction, to publishing the learned knowledge on the confluence.atlassian.com site. While we don't always make the goal, our philosophy is that content should be delivered within 90 minutes. of the learning event. And our initial quality gate for knowledge base articles is sufficient to solve. We want the knowledge available to help customers as soon as feasible. Then it's expected that if that knowledge is used, that we'll take the time to polish that content. Content stuck in review cycles can't help the customer. So we ask them to create a good title, make sure the description and prescription are clear, then immediately make it available to the customer. We have 3 primary web channels for providing support knowledge to customers. Confluence.atlassian.com is the site for our documentation and for our knowledge bases. Answers.atlassian.com provides for the creation and tracking, provides the home for our user communities, and JIRA.atlassian.com is the home for enhancement requests and bug reports. All 3 of these sites are indexed by Google and other public search engines, and almost all of our entry into these sites comes from external searches. So get ready, I'm going to throw some numbers at you to help you understand the scale of knowledge that's produced by Atlassian and used by our customers. For context, we're handling about 8,000 product issues per month through our support centers worldwide. So confluence.atlassian.com, again, our documentation and knowledge base, 3 million page views per month. Majority of that is into the documentation, but 300,000 page views are into our knowledge base, 135,000 page views into the JIRA knowledge base, and 95,000 page views in the Confluence knowledge base. So if 10% of those knowledge base visits deflected an issue being raised, and some consider 10% to be the baseline for deflection, we're deflecting 9,500 calls per month just for the Confluence product. While measuring deflection is not an exact science, we can be sure that providing support knowledge is reducing the call volume and reducing that call volume growth that we'd be seeing. The KB articles are primarily focused on break-fix knowledge, but we're expanding the support knowledge to target content that will help new users accelerate their adoption of products, help existing users expand and use new features. Both our documentation and knowledge base content target users of the latest version of our software, but we make the content for previous versions easily available on those sites. Back to some numbers. At answers.atlassian.com, the answer rate right now is hovering around 88%. So we've had, since the beginning, 76,000 questions. We get about 2,500 questions per month. We've had 115,000 answers provided by the community. It has about 950,000 page views per month into answers.atlassian.com. 90% of the registered users at the site never participate in asking or answering a question. They end up there because they're trying to gain knowledge or they were directed there through a search for the problem that they're having. But we've had over 29,000 users that have asked at least one question, and we've had 16,000 contributors that have answered a questionnaire. 210 of those contributors have earned a t-shirt through the reputation system, and others have won higher awards. As they build up reputation, we give them moderation features so that they can help keep the forums focused and responsive to customer needs. For those looking to enter a bug report or to look at the bug reports or look at enhancement information, that status is found on JIRA.atlassian.com and over 350,000 page views per month. The information there isn't traditional knowledge in the sense of KCS, but it's important content for customers, and we're working to make sure that the titles and descriptions are helpful to users that may encounter problems. So part of Open Company, I want to talk about a few gaps that we have in being fully KCS. Key to the implementation of KCS at any organization is the idea of loops, and this is where we need to strengthen. We do collect feedback from readers of our pages, and comments are accepted in most of the KB spaces, but we lack a system of robust notifications and follow-up with commenters or addressing the issues raised into corrective feedback. So we're addressing this gap by beginning to use the JIRA issue collector to provide the interface for feedback, and then with the task created in an internal JIRA issue instance, we'll have the appropriate system to track, prioritize, and ensure the completion of the appropriate response. By the way, your feedback on our content, whether it's for us and other companies that are using KCS, is extremely important. It's extremely valuable. And whether it's for the documentation or knowledge base, we'll use that feedback to improve what we deliver. So please take the time to provide a response, whether it's positive, that something helped you, or corrective, that we need to fix something. Again, it provides a lot of value back to us. We use Google Analytics and other business intelligence tools to know which content is popular. This helps us to maintain our software and keep it up to date. We use this to tune our knowledge efforts, ensure we're generating the right content, make it easily accessible to end users. About 90% of our knowledge base hits come from Google search, come directly from there. So we're focused on improving the titles, the keywords, the labels, so that we can be more effectively represented in those searches. The Consortium for Service Innovation, and they're the keepers of the KCS documentation pool, they provide a KCS adoption guide, and you can go to their site and find that. And it's for leaders who are transitioning, support leaders who are transitioning to KCS. It provides for 4 phases of implementation. And we're working to achieve phase 4, the highest level in the guide. It provides for measures like the 90-90 rule. That 90% of what is learned by the support agents is available to customers within 90 minutes. And the other is the 85-85 rule, that 85% of the time that a customer has an issue that stops them, that they are going and searching knowledge before contacting the support center. And 85% of the time, they're successful in resolving their problem through that knowledge. So one of the questions is how we're doing against those targets. We can't provide a complete answer yet because we don't have all the right measurements in place to capture that. So we're taking the steps to capture that information and then work towards meeting that phase 4 measure of KCS at Atlassian. We've created a leadership group within the support organization as coaches and coordinators for knowledge. So we have a set of knowledge champions within each product area, and we're spreading that across all of the regions. They have a clearly defined role, and we also have a clear definition of what they're not responsible for. The K-Champs are primarily coaches and leaders within their teams. They're ensuring their peers understand the knowledge workflow, and they also take responsibility for ensuring information in their product areas has complete coverage. They're responsible to ensure follow-up on feedback and that review requirements are met within their area. And this work is spread across the whole team. Everyone participates. While we're developing their writing skills and their ability to create titles, the requirement to generate content rests across the whole support team. No additional burden for content generation on the knowledge champs. So going forward, our goal is to equip them with tools for gap analysis and other analytics that can help in generating comprehensive coverage in their product areas. My target for their time utilization as knowledge champs is about 4 hours per week, about 10% of their working hours. To generate the metrics necessary for management to track participation and effectiveness of our knowledge base, we need to record each content action, whether it's the customer activity or relabeling of content to create better collections. It's important to track those actions in order to generate the reports needed to guide the business. We're currently missing some of these measures in our data mart, but updates to our data collection will help us perform this analysis. Finally, moving through the complete implementation of KCS described in the adoption guide means we need to change what we measure. So if we consistently practice KCS, we want to measure the outcomes rather than the actions. And we need to make sure that we don't slide back in to the easier to measure and track activities. To wrap up, I want to recap the key role that Atlassian tools play in our ability to drive KCS in the Customers for Life group. Confluence Questions provides our community Q&A engine for usage questions. This may be the fastest route to a solution. Other users of our products may be able to provide unique solutions beyond the fundamentals that you might get from a service engineer. Confluence is the collaborative strength needed for development, delivery of our documentation and our knowledge base. And that knowledge base is integrated back into JIRA Service Desk, and that's where we track the issues that require the assistance of a support engineer. And finally, we use JIRA to track enhancement requests and defect reports, tightly integrated back to the issues raised by the customer in Service Desk. That concludes my presentation. Thanks for your time. And let's see if we have questions. What is the best staffing model to effectively implement KCS in a small, medium organization? Again, if you're doing, the key is that KCS is done by everyone on the help team. So what we want to do is try and find knowledge champions. And there's actually, at the serviceinnovations.org site, there's information on how to develop those coaches, what kind of skills they need. But you want to make sure that you're creating that work and spreading that work across the complete support team. Otherwise, there's content that you won't be capturing. What analytics do you use to track KB usage, and how does this trigger polished tasks? So there's a couple of things that we're doing. We're using a lot from Google Analytics to track the number of page views. You saw some of those statistics. The most used content is most likely the best place to invest that time. If we know that there's a lot of things being tagged into service issues, but customers aren't looking at it in the same proportion, then we want to take a look at the title of that, make sure that it is written in the context of the customer. And that's one of the very important things, is make sure that your content is written in the context of the customer, that those titles are attractive and finding the people that need that information. So if only your service engineers are finding the content, your customers aren't, then you've got a search problem.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Neil.